Okay, in this video we're going to start talking about the different meanings of present perfect. The first meaning that we're going to talk about is the meaning that present perfect has when I use it with a length of time. Okay? Your book says, I think, present perfect since and for, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but I think this might be a clearer way to describe what we're saying here and might make the idea a little bit easier to follow. So, please take a look here. We have this sentence. Candace has worked at Safeway for 3 years. Now, what I'd like you to notice here is I have, right here, present perfect. Right? I have or has and past participle. And here, for 3 years, I have a length of time. Okay, so the first point that I want you to know in this lesson is when I use present perfect with a length of time, this is what it means. Let me draw a picture first and then I'll write it. So again, let's say this line here is now, this is the future, this is the past. If I use present perfect with a length of time, it means that Candace started working 3 years in the past. So let's see here. I'm making this video in 2020. So 3 years ago would be 2017. So she started to work in 2017, 3 years ago. Is this good so far? And then she continued to work there, and it continues until now. She still works there. So, when I use present perfect with a length of time like this, it means that the action started in the past. Here it was for 3 years, so it's 3 years ago, and it continues until now. In other words, Candace is still working at Safeway. So let me write this here on the board. Except I may need to get a new marker. When I use present perfect with a length of time, this marker is getting old too. It means this action started in the past and has continued, until now. Okay? So when I use present perfect, like has worked, with a length of time, like for 3 years, it means this action started in the past and has continued until now. So again, Candace started working in 2017, and she kept working, she continued working, and she still works there now. It continues until now. I hope that's good. Let's do another example. Let's use you, okay? I would like you to please think for a moment of the town that you live in, okay? And then think how long you have lived there. So I'm going to ask you to make a sentence with present perfect. let's see, well, I have lived in blank, and this is your town, the town you live in now, for blank. So let me make that a little clearer. Okay. I'm making this video kind of later in the evening, so I think I'm writing sloppy. I have lived, so I'd like you to make a sentence like this in your mind. I have lived in, and then put your town here, for, and then put the length of time here. Maybe it has been 10 years. Maybe it has been 3 months. Maybe you just moved to that town today and you've lived there 5 hours. But make a sentence like this in your mind. Or you can make it on a piece of paper. And I hope that'll help make it a little clear that you started living in your town in the past. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 months ago. And you continue living in the town you're living in until now, okay? Because here I have present perfect and a length of time. Whenever I use present perfect and a length of time, it means that the action started in the past and it has continued until now. I hope that's clear. Let's maybe do another example or two. And then, there's a few more things I'd like to teach you about this. Or there are a few more things I'd like to teach you about this. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Trying to think of another example here. Let's say Bill blank. Let's see here. Let's do study math for 7 years. Well, let me write that out. Okay. So, let's take a look at this. Bill blank study math for 7 years. Now, first thing I'd like you to do here is, would you please, in your mind, or on a piece of paper, write, what is the present perfect of study? And put it here. Hope you remember that. What is the present perfect of study? Okay. I'm going to assume you paused if you needed to. So this would be Bill has studied math for 7 years. Now you notice I have, let me just draw this, present perfect and I have a length of time. So, I have present perfect, I have a length of time. Let me ask you a question. Is Bill studying math now? Does Bill study math now? Pause the video if you need to and think about that question. Does Bill study math now? Okay. The answer is, well, before I tell you the answer, let's draw a picture. You might remember that when I use present perfect and a length of time, it always means this. When I use present perfect and a length of time, it means that the action started in the past. So here I said 7 years, so that, let's see, that would be 2013, 7 years ago. It means the action started in the past and it continues until now. So, because present perfect with a length of time continues until now, the answer to the question, does Bill study math now, is yes. Yes, he does. Okay? How is that? Okay? I hope that's good. If this were a class, I might give you a few more examples, but because it's a video, I don't want to make it too long. Let me do one more, but I want to ask you another question here. I'm going to write another sentence on the board. Bill studied math for 7 years. Now, let me just write this here. Here I have present perfect and a length of time. Oops. Here, I also have a length of time. But I used past, simple past. So I have two sentences. Bill has studied math for 7 years. Bill studied math for 7 years. A question for you. Pause the video if you want a minute to think. Or if you can talk to somebody about this, that's even better. Let's call this sentence A and this sentence B. Let me write that so that it looks clearer. This is sentence A. This is sentence B. Let me ask you, do these two sentences mean the same thing or different things? Again, Bill has studied math for 7 years. Bill studied math for 7 years. Do they mean the same thing or do they mean different things in English? Take a moment, pause the video if you need to, and come up with an answer, yes or no. Okay. Let's talk about the answer to this question. Well, first, let's draw a picture. To answer this question, let's draw a picture of A. Bill has studied math for 7 years. I remember, oh yes, that Mr. Uchiyama just said, when I use present perfect with a length of time, it means that the action starts in the past and it continues until now. So it starts in the past, it continues until now. So in this sentence, let me ask you a question. In this sentence, is Bill still studying math? Does he study math now? I asked you that before. The answer is yes. Yes, he does. Because when I use present perfect with a length of time, it means the action starts in the past, continues until now. Now let's take a look at this sentence and let's draw a picture. Here, again he studies, and again it's for 7 years. But this sentence uses past tense. Here's a rule, good to remember. In English, all of the past all of the past tenses are finished in the past. They don't continue until now. So in English, all of the past tenses are finished in the past. Their actions are finished in the past. They don't continue until now. So, if I say Bill studied math for 7 years, it means, yes, he studied for 7 years. Well, let's say here, I can put 7 years here. He studied for 7 years, it continues to now. But if I say he studied math, I use past. He still studied for 7 years. He studies for 7 years, but it doesn't continue until now. He finished these 7 years. He finished studying in the past. Okay? So, I hope that makes that a little bit clear. That's an important way that present perfect is different from simple past. If I say he studied math for 7 years, it means it did happen for 7 years, but it doesn't continue until now. It's finished in the past. If I say he has studied math for 7 years, then he started 7 years ago, and it continues until now. Okay. I hope that's getting clear. So the important thing that I want you to remember from this is when I use present perfect and a length of time, it starts in the past and it continues until now. Okay. Now, I want to tell you 2 more pieces of information, 2 more things about the length of time. Okay? The first thing I want to tell you is fast and easy, but it's not in the grammar book that we're basing this on. So this is some extra information. It's free. When I use for and a length of time, like Bill has studied math for 7 years, if I want to, and English speakers will often do this, I can take out the word for, and I can say, Bill has studied math 7 years. Okay. Or I could say, the long way, Fred and Wilma have been married for 20 years. Or, again, I can take out the word for if I want to, and I can say, Fred and Wilma have been married 20 years. So I can use the word for here to show the length of time, or I can take it out. Both ways are perfectly good. So, you'll hear Americans using both. The book doesn't tell you that, but if you see the length of time without for, please know it's like the for is there, but Americans will sometimes leave that out. Okay? Or I could say, well, I think that's enough. Let me tell you the next thing that I wanted to tell you about this. What kind of time are we on? Okay. It's about 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to finish this point. We won't make this too long. So I can use, when I use present perfect with a length of time, I can say for 7 years, or for 3 months, or for 10 minutes. Could use a lot, just for and a length of time. There is another way that I can say the same idea, okay? So, here, Bill studied math for 7 years. If he studied for 7 years, it means that he started in 2013. Because this is 2020, I'm making this video, so 7 years ago when he started, it was 2013. So, I could also say, I can say Bill has studied math for 7 years, But I could also say Bill has studied math since 2013. And these two sentences, Bill has studied math for 7 years, Bill has studied math since 2013, mean the same thing. I can use for with a length of time, like for 20 minutes, for 5 days, for 7 years, for 1,000,000 years, okay? I use since. I can also use since to show a length of time. To show a length of time with since, I use since plus the starting point, the starting time. So here, 2013 was the time that he started to study. So I use since plus the starting time. And that's another way that I can show a length of time in English. There's a thing or two more that I want to tell you about since, but I might do it in another video because this is getting a bit long. But before we end this video, let's try this. I'm going to draw a picture. Let's see here. Let's see here. So let's say Mary has been, let's see here. Let's say Mary is asleep, okay? And she started to sleep. Mary is sleeping now. Let's say she started to sleep. Maybe she took a nap in the afternoon. Or no, let's see. Maybe she took a nap in the afternoon and she started at 2 o'clock. And now it is 3 o'clock, okay? So she started at 2, and we'll imagine it's 3 o'clock now. So she started in the past, and it continues until now. I don't know what time it is where you are, but let's imagine it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and she started at 2. So, let's see here. Mary has slept for and since. Okay, so here's the situation. Mary started at 2 and she continued until 3. What I would like you to do is to please finish this sentence 2 ways. One using for, like for 7 years, and the other using since, like since 2013. So please look. Mary has slept for, and then what do I write here? Mary has slept since. What should I write there? Okay. Take a second. You might, if you want to, pause the video, and then we'll talk about the answer. Okay. Now, let's look at this. So I remember that I use for with a length of time. I could, like, for 7 years, for 3 months, for 5 weeks, for 13 days. So here, the time, the length of time between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock is how long? How long is it between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock? Well, it's 1 hour, right? So the length of time is 1 hour. So I'll use for plus a length of time, and I'll say Mary has slept for 1 hour. How is that? I hope that's good. Now let's look at the next one. Mary has slept since. I use since plus the starting time. So I ask myself, oh, when did she start sleeping? And I say, she started at 2. So I'll use since plus starting time. So I could say, Mary has slept since 2 o'clock. Okay? If this were my class, I'd probably have you be doing more exercises with this, but yeah, for a video, I don't think that works very well. But I'll give that some thought. But in any case, Mary has slept for 1 hour. Mary has slept since 2 o'clock. Let me ask you 2 questions. Mary has slept for 1 hour. Mary has slept since 2 o'clock. Do these 2 sentences mean the same thing or different things? Take a moment if you need to think. Pause if you need to. Do they mean Mary has slept for 1 hour? Mary has slept since 2 o'clock. Do they mean the same thing or different things? Okay, they mean the same thing, right? They both mean that she started in the past and it continues until now. One more question before we finish up this video. Is Mary sleeping now? The answer? Well, present perfect with a length of time means that the action started in the past and has continued until now. Because sleeping continues until now, yes, Mary is sleeping now. Okay. So, main things to remember in this video. When I use present perfect with a length of time, it means the action started in the past and it has continued until now. Present perfect with a length of time is different from simple past with a length of time, or different from simple past because all past tenses in English are finished in the past. They do not continue. Past tenses do not continue until now, but present perfect continues until now. Okay? Or present perfect with a length of time continues until now. The other point is I can say the length of time in 2 different ways. I can say Mary has studied math for 7 years, or I could say I can use for with the length of time, or I could say Mary has studied math since 2013, or Bill has studied math since 2013. And I can use since plus the starting time. Good. And if you have a grammar book with exercises on this, that might be good for you to do in practice. Okay. I think that's all for this evening. Actually, well, you don't need to know when I'm making this, but whether you are watching this in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will be back sometime soon, and I will explain another meaning of present perfect.